Caleb here, back again with more bad fanfiction theater, and we have a guest who's actually wearing lingerie.
Am I?
Yes, I thought you were. Oh, did you already take it off and throw it away?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long day.
I see.
Yeah, you don't even want to hear about it. It's just one thing after another after another. And then it rained.
Yeah,
So,
I went shopping in the rain, so, because I didn't have anything to eat. So I went... What?
Don't leave the cake out in the rain, though.
I didn't leave any cake out in the rain.
Okay, just making sure.
But I didn't say I had cake to eat. I was saying I went to the store because I didn't have anything to eat.
Yeah, I know you do.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm clarifying
I'm
just in case.
Yeah, I'm making a reference that I don't think you got, but maybe someone will get. But probably not. So, did you get anything else while you were out? You know, like, I don't know, any drugs or...
Well, I thought about getting some sugar and maybe some blur, but, I had mushrooms like the other day, so not really feeling it. What are we talking about?
I don't know. You were making funny noises at the speakers, so I was implying that you had some sort of recreational substance.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I have no clue.
It's alright.
But anyway. So today we are going to be reading a Rocky Horror Picture Show crossover with Highlander. Okay. I was forced to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was okay. I've never seen Highlander, but I know the general gist of it.
And I'm a big fan of Rocky Horror. It actually got me through a lot of tough periods of my life, so it has a special place in my heart.
Well, as long as we're not consuming a meatloaf, I think we're okay.
That was good. That was good. That was very good. I like that. But it's funny because like on the flip side, you know, I was basically coerced into watching Highlander, so I actually know a lot about Highlander, and it was okay, but of course after a point it was just god awful. But
so kind of like my experience with Rocky Horror. It was okay.
Yeah, I mean I felt that way about Highlander. It was one of those where it started off really pretty good, but as it went on it became clear that it really didn't know its audience very well, and eventually it was just like, yeah, this really needs to end like right now. And back in that day, which I can't believe I'm saying, you know, back in that day, and actually, you know, meaning like the 90s. But back in that day, they could only string out a series for so long before, you know, the fact that literally everyone had lost interest in it, you know, caused it to stop being shown. I wish they would do that with other shows, but if it's on like, you know, and today it would probably be on like the CW or something like that, and they'd string it out for 10 years, and by the time it's over, it's like, it has none of its original fans, and everybody that's left is just like, yeah, I like writing fan fiction and drawing sexy pictures of these characters, but like, I really wish this show would end. I honestly think though that by the end of Highlander, even though it went, was it 6 or 7 years? I know that like the entire last season is generally just ignored by everyone.
Well, now I read a quick synopsis on Wikipedia, and I believe it said the TV show was like 6 years, 6 seasons.
Yeah. I want to say that it was 6, but I always get confused because like one of those years is basically ignored by everyone. Because at the end of the penultimate season, it just went like batshit insane. And then the last season was just like, what in the fuck is this? I forget all the specifics. It's been many years since I actually, you know, watched the show. And there was a spin-off that was actually pretty good. It had the series actually had a couple of very prominent female characters, which was really good. It was especially for the time, it was characters that were not, defined by their relationship with men. They were actually independent characters, very strong characters. They actually fought, and didn't get, casually killed off. But there was one season of I believe her name was Amanda, and she had a spin-off, and she was obviously, another immortal. But that was actually pretty interesting, and it had its issues, but it was actually a pretty good show. I remember. Of course, it's been years since I've seen it, but I remember liking the fact that they spun off probably the only character that they really could have, just a very strong hero character, into her own show, and just, I wish it had lasted longer than it did, but I think it was just like bad timing more than anything.
So, in case you've never seen either show, Highlander is about immortal dudes who don't know why they're immortal, they just are, and they go after other immortal dudes to cut off their heads to get more power, I think.
Yeah, basically it's all called The Game, and essentially immortals always usually tend to fight each other, and it allows them to accumulate more power. Eventually, apparently, the object of the game is to be the last one standing and thus have all the power. But not everybody engages in that. It's shown as the series goes on. Like some of the characters only fight when they have to. Others don't like to fight at all. And there are certain rules too, like neutral ground and whatnot. There are rules about, what you may and may not use in a fight and things like that. So it's actually the immortals, though. Yeah, they don't actually know that they're immortal until they die. But when they die, they come back to life. So this also means that they're often outcasts, because a lot of them find this out in hundreds of years ago, when people would not have had, they would probably thought it was like witchcraft or something like that. This person was dead. Why are they alive now? But some of them also are quite ancient, like Methos, for example, who appears in this story. He's he may be the oldest immortal still doing his thing, and he tends to kind of avoid conflict, and that's probably what's kept him alive so long. But yeah, so it's one of those things. But they tried to explain it in, was it Highlander 2?
Yeah,
it
it's
was
like
in one
Aliens did it.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It wasn't. I know I'll probably be like declared the Antichrist for saying this, but I didn't really think that any of the films were that. I didn't see the last one, the very final one, but then a lot of people ignored that too. But
the anime wasn't good either.
But I mean, I watched them. They were something to watch. I didn't see why people got so out of sorts, because it's not like the original film is some amazing masterpiece. It's a really low budget sci-fi film that hit it with some audiences but missed a lot of others. It was okay. I don't know. But then I know people that really got into it, just really loved it. And if that's what you like, then that's what you like. And I'm not trying to rag on it at all. I mean, it's an interesting concept, even if I don't think that the TV series realized it quite as well as it could have or should have. But it's an interesting idea.
How some of these go.
Yeah. Good ideas, but leave something to be desired. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is a film adaptation of the Rocky Horror Show, which was a stage play that was basically a huge homage and also tongue-in-cheek parody and satire as well of not only 1950s Americana, but also the science fiction boom in the 50s and a bunch of other stuff. It's a musical. It's really amazing, I think. And whatever your feelings on it, I think you should watch it at least once. I think it's one of those things that everybody should see at least once, if only because it has become such a part of popular culture that, like, there's just so much that you miss by not experiencing it at least once. I mean, you may not like it, but personally, I
And you
really
get to
like
see
it.
Tim Curry in drag.
That's right. And of course, I mean,
And
as I'm
featuring
sure
Caleb's lingerie.
and I mean, as you know, Tim Curry makes almost anything worthwhile. So, I mean, if nothing else, you can watch Tim Curry chew the scenery and sing, and so.
Now I have a sweet transvestite stuck in my head. But anyway.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
We are reading When Methos Met Frank by I Don't Like Gravy. I about thought that it said I don't like gray. And then for some reason I was trying to say gay, and I'm like, that is not what that guy's name is. So
Do you know that this is funny that happened, because I was watching a friend stream earlier, and I need to give you a comic link because it's got kitties in it and you'd love it.
Kitties!
Yeah, it's really good. But we were talking about, art process and everything, and she was like, we were talking about the problems that we can have with layers, and sometimes we have to, like, lock layers, or else we'll just be on the wrong layer and we'll ruin everything.
Yeah, I've done that.
And she was saying, you go on the wrong layer and you mess up everything, and just dealing with layers is enough. And then she said something like, and it turns you grey, turns your hair grey from the stress. And I thought she said it turns you gay. And I was like, I don't know how that would work.
Suddenly you become a lesbian.
Yeah, so
just because. You whip out your subway car and fuck it, I'm done with being straight. Let's try girls instead.
I cannot believe Methos is going to be injected into the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, apparently he is. So, in the Rocky Horror Picture Show fandom, as well as Highlander, I hope you like it, maybe? I don't know. We're going to read it on LiveJournal. I suppose I'm starting?
Yeah, my superstition.
Okay. Jace also put in her 2 cents, saying she'd read as well.
Yeah, well, as much as I appreciate that, I don't think we have an interpreter here today.
Meow, 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 meow. Okay, I'll quit. Let's begin. Summary. I'm on the crack, folks. This little bunny just kept nibbling at me and making me giggle, so I had to write it. What if Methos, whatever, were dry? Wait, there's more of him? There's more than one.
No. Were is a conditional.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like, what if something were doing something? What if something were something? So it's actually, you can say was, and it's
yeah. Well,
right,
that's my de facto phrase to word, not phrase to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But when you're talking about a what if scenario, or if something was or were something, it's I believe it's actually more appropriate usually to use the if they were, a lesbian, for example, if they were a lesbian. So, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on my grammar rules anyway, but I would use was. Because we're only talking about one person, not a multitude of them.
It's not. The thing about were is that this is another one of those tricky English grammatical things, because, like, it's not saying that there's plural of him. It's saying that it's a conditional statement that is in question. Like, it's not. It is not, but it might be. And you're asking if it's a conditional, so you're presenting it as a conditional. I forget the particular conjugation of it, the particular tense that it's called. But anyway, yeah, it's a thing. So
What if Methos were driving to a little town called Denton when he had a flat? Maybe it's because I've been reading way too much Sherlock Holmes fanfiction, so every time I see the word flat now, I automatically think like an apartment or something.
Man, I was not going to say anything, but when you said that, I was going to actually make a comment of it, and I thought, no, she'll think it's stupid. And
No, I've been reading a lot of Sherlock fic. I've been reading a lot of it.
I swear, this is weird.
And so I'm like, wait, a how? And I'm like, oh right, flat tire, duh. And what if he needed to ask for help at the only house on the road? The chaos begins.
Dun dun dun.
Shocker. Scream.
Ah! Wait, was that a stage direction or were you?
Yeah. As you decide.
Potato.
You want me to get these two little lines?
Yeah, just get those two little lines.
Okay. When Methos met Frank, 1952, the year my mother was born, somewhere in America.
How Methos had ended up taking a teaching job in the arse end of nowhere, he wasn't entirely sure, but the university would pay the bills for a while, and he could more or less guarantee that he would stay off the immortal collective radar for a few years. No immortal would ever find Denton. Come to think of it, he was having a little difficulty finding himself.
The rain was coming down in torrents, and the occasional flash of lightning was the only light other than Methos' headlights.
Methos.
Methos?
Yeah.
Okay, Methos.
Yeah, I thought it was Methos at first too, but that's one of the things I remember from this show is he's definitely Methos.
Like myth.
Yeah, sort of like that, yeah.
Okay. Other than Methos' headlights on the dark country road, the radio was playing some more of that mindless rock and roll, so Methos switched it off to concentrate on the road ahead.
A few seconds later, he came to a sign that read, "Road closed." "Bloody marvellous," muttered Methos as he threw the car into reverse and started to perform a 3-point turn. But he hadn't got to point one when there was a loud bang and a sudden jolt. "Bugger!" Methos exclaimed. I don't know why I find that so funny. I don't remember if I ever heard him say anything like this on the show. So, Methos exclaimed, and he got out into the wet night. He went to the back of the car and saw that he had a flat. Again, as we mentioned before, see previous conversation about flats. Then went to the trunk to get the spare and saw that it too was flat. "Double bugger," he exclaimed.
It's double crap all over again.
No, this is actually written a lot better than that, I have to
far.
say. Yeah, I don't think this can possibly get as bad as 50 Shades. There's just no way.
Well, somebody's suddenly pregnant and married somebody named Link, and Triforce is everywhere.
No, 50 Shades, not mine life, although it is.
Well, I was making that comparison to it as well.
Oh.
That's why I was saying that crap.
Now he would have to walk a half-mile or so back to the last house he saw and ask for help. This was not turning into a great evening.
No shit. He approached the large house, despite the sign on the gate advertising "Enter at your own risk," and thought to himself that this was the kind of place that Americans refer to as a castle. In the middle of nowhere. Even though you said it was a house. Okay? Nothing like a real castle, he thought. I've lived in a real castle, and you don't get glass windows and carpets in real castles. Cold, nasty palaces?
Places.
Okay.
It is very small type.
Yeah. That you wouldn't choose to live in real castles. He went up to the door and rang the bell.
After a very short amount of time, a little too short as if they had been watching his approach, the door was opened by a man. At least Methos thought it was a man. It was hard to tell. He was dressed as a butler, but he was moth-eaten and had long blonde hair that straggled down his back.
"Hello," the man said. His voice reminded Methos of cold, dank, mildew-infested dungeons.
That's a pretty good description of Riff Raff's voice.
Hello, Methos said. There was a long silence, so Methos spoke again. I had a flat tire. This person must be British or something.
Yeah.
But, I don't know why I put a but there, but I did. Might I come in? You're wet. It's raining.
You better come inside. He stood back and allowed Methos to cross the threshold before abruptly slamming the door shut and bolting it. I am the butler. My name is Riffraff. Methos snickered. No, what is it really? Riffraff just stared at him before pointing to a maid standing in the hallway. That is my sister Magenta. Ignore her. Okay, then. Do you have a telephone I might use? No. The master has no need for telephones. Okay. Then might I speak with your master? I need help to fix my car.
Walk this way, Riffraff said, before slopping? Is that
Slipping.
Okay. Off towards an elevator car. If I walk that way through, thought Methos. Damn it. Mythos.
It's like Aina all over again.
Why are we trying so hard to compare this to 50 Shades of Grey?
I do know.
I'll do myself a permanent mischief. What? What?
Yeah. What?
I don't understand. If I walk that way, thought Methos, I'll do myself a permanent mischief, immortal or not.
Yeah, you've not heard that term. It's like you do yourself a damage, you'll do yourself a mischief, you'll hurt yourself.
Oh, the way he's okay, I get it now.
Yeah, like if I walk that way, I'll do myself a mischief.
Confused. and then of course since I've never heard that phrasing before, I didn't understand.
Ah, okay. Yeah, sometimes some phrases are kind of uncommon anymore.
He followed Riffraff into the elevator, and they rode up through the floors into a large white tiled room. Standing in the middle of this room was one of the most striking people that Methos had ever clapped eyes on.
He stood about 6'2" in heels and wore fishnet stockings, a black basque, and women's knickers, and a leather motorcycle jacket. His dark hair bounded from his head in loose curls, and Methos was reminded of Medusa's snakes. He turned to face Methos, his large mouth extending in a warm smile, and extended his hand, which Methos shook.
Oh, goody, a guest! I'm Dr. Frankenfurter, Methos smirked. Surely these people had to be winding him up. He bit back the jibe on his lips, instead replying cordially. Hello, I'm Dr. Benjamin Adams. A fellow doctor, excellent! I'd like to pick your brains later, but first dinner! He grabbed Methos by the arm and escorted him up the ramp towards the door, Methos all the while protesting. No, really, please, I just want to get my car fixed.
They enjoyed a fine repast, although Methos was slightly concerned he couldn't identify the meat. There was something worryingly familiar about the taste and texture that recalled his horseman days, but he couldn't quite place it. He didn't wish to offend his host before he got what he wanted, so he didn't ask what it was.
Might be for the best.
Yes.
Anybody who's seen the movie and got the reference earlier that I made probably is best. You're quite handsome, Methos started at the sudden declaration from the host. Why, thank you, Dr. Furter. You're pretty good-looking yourself. Oh, please, call me Frank. Okay, Frank, you can call me Benjamin. Okay. Well, Benjamin, you have both looks and brains. How do you know this?
Well, considering it's Frankenfurter, he's probably just flirting.
Well, yeah. God was having a good day when he made you. Methos smirked. Frank was clearly trying to chat him up, and Methos had to admit that he found this unique individual somewhat arousing, in a disturbing way. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my brain around arousing in a disturbing manner, and it's not really working, but okay.
Well, think of the stories you like love letters, for example.
I guess. But that,
You know.
well, okay.
Well, I mean,
sure, I guess.
you and I are both indulged in stories that are, technically kind of, but still.
Yeah, if this was a real life situation, it would not be sexy at all. But as a story, yeah, I can deal with.
Yeah.
He hadn't swung that way in a very long time, but he thought he might be amenable. What?
Amenable. It's like agreeable.
Oh,
to,
okay.
Yeah.
My vocabulary sucks.
He suddenly realized that he was feeling very amenable to any suggestion, and more than a little warm and drowsy. He looked down at the glass in his hand, then up at his host. Drugs? He slurred before slumping down on the table.
He awoke to find himself chained naked to a four-poster bed, with Frank straddling him. Not that I'm saying I mind, Dr. Ferger, but some might consider this kidnap. Oh, it isn't all that bad, and even half bad. You might even find you enjoy it. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I read that sentence wrong. Now I'm like, no, I think I read it right. Teeny tiny type and the background and the color of the text just don't mesh well for me. Makes it very hard to read along with the size of it.
Yeah.
This isn't exactly my first tea party, you know. You didn't need the dramatics to seduce me. I would probably have come quite willingly.
Well, there's still time for that, Frank said with a sly smile, and he began to kiss Methos' chest, working his way downward. Methos let out a gasp of pleasure and allowed Frank to wrap his lips around Methos' hardening cock. Leaning his head back and closing his eyes, Methos was thrilled to receive the best blowjob he'd had in a good few millennia. I'm just imagining this, and it's cracking me up. These two characters.
I'm just like, I don't think I'd want Frankenfurter around my anything at all.
Well, see, even in the story though, it's indicated that he is actually really good at like seduction and intimacy and all this stuff. So even people who would normally be kind of reluctant, he has a way of I guess it's his charisma or something. Maybe he's just really good at it. I don't know. He cried out in pleasure before the physical release, then lay back, a smug smile upon his face. He felt Frank shift his weight, and so he slowly opened his eyes.
The last thing he saw was the knife before Frank plunged it into his chest, and everything went black.
It would be hard to describe exactly who was more shocked. Methos on finding that Frank was trying to cut his skull open, or Frank on discovering that Methos wasn't dead after all. Screams were heard from the laboratory, and a few minutes later Methos came belting out of the castle at full tilt, still half-dressed. He ran back to his car, started the engine and floored it, ignoring the complaining squeals from the flat tire as he headed back to the main road as fast as possible. The end.
Well, what did you think of that story?
I thought it was very amusing. It was definitely cracktastic. These are two characters I would never have imagined have ever met. You know, like would have even possibly ever met. But really, just like the author says, there's no reason they couldn't have, because there's huge, great expanses of Methos' past that no one's really done anything with. So it might have happened. You never know. But yeah, it was definitely amusing. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was definitely very well written. So yeah, fine by me.
It was all right.
No, say it was okay.
It was okay.
Okay. I think we can do better than that. Okay, that's I steered you into a quote exchange from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm sorry. I had to do it because this is probably the only Rocky Horror fic we're ever going to read, so I had to do that.
Probably, unless somebody knows something really, really bad.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was...
Okay.
Eh. I mean, I don't really know anything about Highlander except, the basics, and that works for this story. And if you've seen, or at least are familiar with Rocky Horror Picture Show, then you know that, well, when he said about picking brains and things, yeah, considering some of the things that happened in the movie, that's not him, like, using a metaphor. That's him being literal.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
It's okay. That's really all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I was amused. I thought it was a fun one. It was. I'm glad that we read it. I would read again. Probably would recommend to people, especially if they know the character of Methos from Highlander, because it was. If you know the character, it's much more amusing.
Yeah.
But the Rocky Horror stuff, that was really fun too. I never thought I would see the Rocky Horror characters interacting with, like, pretty much any other fandom, but especially not the Highlander fandom.
Well, I don't know if I would do a crossover with, between Highlander and Rocky Horror, I'd probably pick, something that actually dealt with other immortal kind of things, and try to blend those two universes together. Or maybe something, I don't know, batshit insane to go along with Rocky Horror. But,
Yeah. Although, to be fair, if you've seen the last season of Highlander, it is pretty batshit insane, so...
Well,
just saying.
Well, until now, I didn't even know there was a TV show. Because I'm just like, who the world is this, Methos guy? And then you're like,
Well,
I know who he is. And I'm like, okay, I'll go look him up. Oh,
Yeah,
there was a
was
TV
around.
show? Okay.
He was around from fairly early on. He became, I think it was kind of unintentional at first that he'd be a recurring character, but he turned into a recurring character. And
Yeah,
it
said he was supposed to die at the end of a 2-part episode, but then they decided that he had more potential of staying alive and being reused than being killed off in the TV show.
Yeah, I wish they had thought that for some other characters, because some of the other characters that they killed off in like 1 or 2 episodes, it was like they ended up thinking, wow, we really made a mistake. And this is why I think that was one of the things that my whole experience with Highlander, the series, was one of the things that shaped my, if you don't have to kill them off, you don't need to kill them off. That philosophy of, because you might think up ways to use them later, because I remember reading about multiple times in the Highlander series when they had a character and they really liked the character and they really regretted killing off that character later, or like they ended up casting an actor that they enjoyed working with, and they were like, damn, I wish we hadn't gotten rid of that character, because like after a point, some of the stories lent themselves to using them in other flashbacks, but some of them were just so tightly knit together that it was impossible to use them in any other way. So they had like a character that was really good that they could only use for 15 minutes in one episode.
Any final thoughts?
No, not really. I enjoyed it. I had fun.
Yeah.
There are worse days. There are worse ways to spend a day. So.
Yeah. We could have been reading. Yes, we could have been reading. We could have been reading 50 Shades of Grey or more, MIL.
Yeah.
But thankfully we are not.
Yeah, and now might be a good time to remind people that we are still reading 50 Shades of Grey and
if
Twilight.
You give us $50.
Right, if you give $50 donation is for 50 Shades of Grey, another chapter of that, and a $27 donation is for an additional chapter of Twilight. We have read 1 chapter of Twilight on our marathon, so if you'd like to hear more, just send in a $27 donation. If you'd like to hear 2 chapters of Twilight and, you're gravitating around that $50 mark, just send us 54 and say 2 chapters of Twilight. So whatever. But, we are still doing that. So There will be
Or you
links
could
in the.
also give us 54 for a chapter of 50 Shades of Grey and 4 shout-outs or something.
Yeah, we're also doing shout-outs and
I
things
mean,
like that.
you can just look on the Patreon and see, or just donate for the sake of donating and say, hey, I want this, and we can do.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible when it comes to contributions and support, and we appreciate everything that we get. So it will help us to do many, many things that really we need to do. So please do consider.
So I'm Caleb.
And I'm Hushicho.
And this has been Not Very Bad Fan Fiction Theater. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.